Hello everybody and welcome back to Aurora 4X. Today we are going to be going over the combat from the last episode because I want to raise a few points. And we are going to be continuing with the construction of our war fleet and the fortification and fortification of Seoul and reconquest of Melbourne. So, first things first. Now that we actually have time, let's go through the post-mortem of the combat. Now, one thing that I want to bring to attention is right here. Now, you'll notice that our quokka received 3 hits from the enemy ship. Alright? Now, here's the thing. If we have a look at the intelligence, the troll has 10 lasers on it. So that begs the question, if we were at point blank range with a 100% hit rate because of distance, why the troll only land 3 hits on the quokka? Those 10 lasers could have very easily destroyed our quokka, and that would have been the end of it. We would have lost a ship. But no, we only took 3 hits. And the reason for that is, to an extent, going to be down to the speed. So, if you have a look, the observed speed of the troll is 3352. Okay? The speed of the quokka is 5000. So, what that means is that more likely than not, the troll only has a tracking speed of 3352. Potentially even less, to be honest. But it has a maximum tracking speed of 3352 unless these are on turrets. Now, if these are not on turrets, then the tracking speed of 3352 gets divided by the target speed. So if we do a quick calculation, 3352 divided by 5040 is 66. So it only has a base accuracy of 66% due to loss or due to tracking speed penalty. Okay, so that means that statistically we're only looking at about 6 hits, maybe 7 tops. So 3 of those shots would have statistically missed, full stop. Okay? Well, what about the other half? That one I'm not too sure about. So statistically, if it would require another 50% or so, no. Yeah, it would take it would have to have a base accuracy of 50% to have that, and to get 33, you would need, like, what's 5,000 divided by 3? So it would need a tracking speed of about 1666 to get the observed accuracy, at least statistically speaking. Now, that begs the question. So that means we have to answer ourselves, what the hell is going on? It obviously can't have the tracking speed of its speed, otherwise it should have landed way more hits than it did, at least double. We don't have ECM to come into play, so but it only has an accuracy that, if tracking speed were the only issue, should be only a tracking speed of 1600. And that's something that the only way we're going to be able to find out is by finding their fire control. Because we don't know what kind of tracking speed they have. All we know, I mean, we could have gotten super lucky, right? It's entirely possible that we could have just gotten ridiculously lucky and they just rolled low. Statistics says that won't hold up, but, you know, chance. It is entirely possible that by sheer dumb luck, we managed to, I don't know, maybe the gunner got confused and was surprised by the amount of tonnage coming at them and just freaked out and botched the shots. So, it's entirely possible. Unfortunately, we don't entirely know. But because because I want to keep this educational, there is a way we can find out. Now, if we do Space Master, I believe that's not going to show us the NPR. If we had another empire, we could. Is that going to show us anything extra? I don't think it will. Yeah, SMView will tell us... hang on now, firing accuracy was... Is it going to give us NPR? I don't think it's going to give us NPR accuracy. I think we're going to have to switch to designer mode. Yeah, we're going to have to switch to designer mode. Okay. Huh. Oh, right, because I moved the game folder. Okay. Nope, not that one. So it's that one. Okay, we are now in designer mode. So now, when we go into here, see, we are now getting Braca Empires updates. So that'll be contact with all of our stuff that they lost contact with. So let's go have a look at actual damage. We're going to need, let's go for 800. A lot of these names are going to be very, very off because the Braca has its own things. So let's go have a look at Braca. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. So there's his energy impacts, targeting. So let's have a look. Okay. So base chance to hit is 100%, fire control 100, crew grade 100. So the crew grade is obviously nothing. So 15 centimeter. So it looks like they actually have a tracking speed of only 2,000, which is a little bit higher than the 1,600 that I calculated. So yeah, we can see that even though the ship speed is significantly higher, their tracking speed is significantly less. So they only had a 40% chance to hit. So hit, miss, hit, 5 misses, and a third hit. And that is why they should have landed 6, but they only landed 3. So there was a little bit of dumb luck. They could have landed 4 by the percentages, but they only landed 3. So unfortunate for them. Probably wouldn't have killed the Quokka anyway. Quokka handled that really well. Okay. Turn all that off. Are we still seeing? Okay, good. Okay. But you can see how, based on results, it's not really a spoiler that the tracking speed was so low, right? You're not really ruining it, you're not really cheating, because by doing the math, by knowing how the math works and then doing the math backwards, we could see for ourselves that their tracking speed should have been lower than their flight speed, right? Because if their tracking speed was equal to their flight speed, they should have gotten closer to about 70% accuracy, but they only had close to 30 around 40, right? That discrepancy, the RNG is not that bad, right? RNG will screw you when any chance it has, but it's not that bad. It's not a gap of 40% that it screws you by. It'll make you miss that one shot that should have blown up the enemy ship, but it won't make you miss half your shots, right? It's not that bad. So we knew that the tracking speed was low. I just estimated less because the sample size was small. It's only 10 shots. 3, 4. One higher would have got it dead on. But so we know that against that particular ship, against the troll, its accuracy is going to be poor. And that leads me into one of the main topics of that I want to talk about in the opening of this episode, and that is the importance of speed. Now, for the uninitiated, my doctrine when it comes to ships is speed, defense, offense. And that boils down from if you don't have the speed to control the range, they do. Speed lets you dictate when, where, how long the battle happens. If you're the faster party, you can lead them around by the nose, and you can decide where the battle happens. If you want the battle to happen on your jump on the other side, on your side of the jump point, where you have fortifications, if you have the speed, you can make that happen. I mean, you can't guarantee it because they can always say, "Oh no, fuck that, I'm gonna go home," but they cannot say, "No, I want to have the fight here, where I have the advantage," or at least where you don't have the advantage. When you have the speed, you determine where and when the battle happens. Okay? And being able to determine where the battle happens, being able to escape the enemy, being able to engage and chase down the enemy is ridiculously important. And that battle that we had just now against the troll is a perfect example of that. If he had the speed advantage, we don't have the range advantage, right? We don't have the range. He had more than 10 times our range, right? If he had the speed advantage, he could have sat at long range and plinked us to death, and there would have been absolutely nothing we could have done about it, right? But because we had the speed advantage, we could force the engagement range to be 0. Right? We could force that range to be 0. We could force the engagement to happen at our firing range, where we are actually effective. Yes, he got a benefit from having his guns at full power, but if we didn't have the speed, because he also had the range, then he could have very easily made that battle impossible for us if we didn't have the speed advantage. But because we had the speed advantage, we decided, no, the battle is going to happen at point blank range where every single one of our guns can hit you, and we just fucked them up. All right? So that's doctrine number 1. Speed is everything. Even with missile ships less so, because a missile ship can just kind of sit at 300 million kilometers and just lob missiles at you every half hour, and it doesn't give a fuck. But at the end, still, you still want to have a speed advantage, because if he has longer range missiles than you, it's the exact same thing as guns, except on a much longer scale. If you have the speed advantage on your missile ships, you can stay out of his range. You can control the engagement. He has to chase you, and when you're chasing missile ships, if a missile ship is doing the chasing, its effective range is less than if the missile ship is being chased, right? Because when you're chasing, the missile needs range to the target when you fire, plus whatever distance they gain on you once the missile actually reaches them. So you need a longer effective range than if they were chasing you and then you just lob missiles and they close the effective range on your missiles, right? So speed is everything. Mostly. It's like 90% of battle. You determine the engagement, you control the range it happens, you control where it happens, you control when it happens. If you have the speed, you are in control. If you don't have the speed, then you need to have the second doctrine, which is an impenetrable defense. Now, that's not always attainable. No defense is impenetrable. Eventually, they're going to wear you down. There's not much you can do about it, right? Because with Aurora, like, there's only limited situations where a defense is truly impenetrable, and that is in very specific situations where there is such a strong power balance that it was never even remotely a fair fight to begin with, right? And you can say this wasn't a fair fight because we had like two 16,000-ton ships and like, what, 5,000-ton ships, and he had 10,000, right? Two of our quackers had the same tonnage as him, a little bit more. And we brought in two big-ass 16,000-ton point defense ships, right? So you can call that unbalanced. And yes, it was unbalanced. But an impenetrable defense only comes when the power balance is so extreme that this little guy never had a chance to begin with, right? Specific situations where you have low DPM weapons firing against very strong fast regeneration shields, right? Where you can't out DPM the regeneration of the shields. That's the only impenetrable defense. Outside of Gauss when they're throwing missiles. If you have like stupidly strong point defense and they don't have the missile volley size, then yeah, that can also be impenetrable. So there are very limited situations where a defense is impenetrable, but every defense can be broken. Well, there are situations, and there are situations where every defense can be broken. That's the key thing, right? So there's no such thing as an impenetrable defense outside of niche situations, but that's the goal that you're going for, right? That's the goal that you want. You want a defense that they cannot break through. And the reason for that, apart from the obvious, that if you have an impenetrable defense, they can't kill you. Apart from the obvious, the reason you want impenetrable defense is because, especially in Aurora, as you take damage, your combat effectiveness goes down, right? You start losing engines, you start losing speed, you lose a speed advantage, you fail Doctrine 1. You lose weapons, you lose defenses, you lose components. So the longer you can maintain full functioning, whether that means shield that regenerates too fast, point defenses to shoot down missiles, armor to help you tank and survive incoming fire. Regardless of what that means, you need to maintain 100% operational capacity, right? That's the takeaway that you should be taking away from this. It's not about not taking hits, although that helps. It's about maintaining your operational integrity. Ensuring that whatever they're doing, doesn't matter what they're doing, whatever they're doing, that your guns, your engines, and your internal components continue to operate. So, you know, it doesn't matter if your armor is getting blown apart. If your guns are firing, if your engines are running, and if your crew is you know, amped up and raring to go, that's golden. You're maintaining operational integrity. That's the key thing. And that is the second doctrine. So, what does that mean? Second doctrine is achieved through strong and layered point defenses. Area fire off lasers, mesons, beams, whatever you want. Point defense, final fire out of gas and railguns. AMM screens to protect you against incoming missiles. Shields and armor to tank damage, incoming damage that actually does reach you if they manage to circumvent your long-range point defenses, or if you have to go into short-range brawls. And let's not forget MSP and damage control, because part of maintaining operational integrity is repairing any damage you do take, right? Being able to get your ships back into the field and get them operational again without, after the battle is done, right? And after the battle is done, ultimately comes down to the third doctrine, having the firepower to overcome the enemy defense, all right? Going back a bit, speed is also part of your defenses. Don't forget that, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't have the armor, then if you have the range and the speed, then they can't shoot you. So, you know, you maintain your operational integrity. So yeah, almost every factor comes into play in terms of defense, but you also need to kind of know what they are capable of, right? It doesn't matter if you have all the point defense in the world. If they come face to face with you and punch you with lasers and you have no armor, then you have failed in the second doctrine. But anyway, so that's the second doctrine. Impenetrable defense, operational integrity. The third doctrine is the ability to destroy the enemy. And that just means being able to being able to close range with your weapons, overwhelm their defenses, and destroy their ships. And the reason why that one is last is because if you can't close to your weapons fire, to your weapons range, then it doesn't matter if you're the fucking Death Star. If you have a planet-killing beam that blows away entire planets, if you can't get within range, then what the fuck is it good for, right? Perfect example. The Death Star came around the other side of Yavin. It wasn't able to get within range of the rebel base. Its gun meant absolutely nothing. Now, it was trying to get within range, and it did get within range in the last second, even though before it was able to fire, and it would have gotten into range if the rebels had just decided and just decided to do nothing, right? So it would have got within range, but because it started outside range, granted it had a blockage in the way, but it amounts to the same thing, right? Because it started out, that gave the rebels enough time to try and ultimately succeed. But even if they had failed, to try and destroy the Death Star, right? They gave them that opportunity. If they had just emerged out of hyperspace on the other fucking side of the planet and been instantly within range, well, Star Wars Episode 4 would have had a very different ending, I'll tell you that. So, speed is everything. And that's Doctrine 1. You have to be able to either stay outside of their range, which bolsters your defense, which is Doctrine 2, and it lets you close to your optimal weapons range, which bolsters or even allows Doctrine 3, right? So speed is Doctrine 1 because this is the most important thing. Doctrine 2 lets you maintain your fire, right? It doesn't matter if you're plinking away at dealing 1 damage every 30 seconds. If they can't shoot you or if they can't kill you, then who cares? You can just sit there and plink away at them for the next 4 hours and then they'll die, you win. Right? If your defense is impenetrable, then you win. If you have ships in a system and they don't, you win. If your ships are just sitting there, weathering everything they throw at them, and they're just ripping their ships apart, well, it might not seem like you're winning, but you're winning because they're wasting resources rebuilding their ships. Right? They're spending resources rebuilding ships that they would have been able to spend on anything else. So, impenetrable defense is the second doctrine. And of course, if your ships are blown to hell, they're not going to be able to maintain the first doctrine or shoot anything anyway. So, you kind of need that. And of course, the third one, it doesn't matter if you're sitting there and they're wailing on you and you're just going, yawn, right? It doesn't matter if you can't kill them back, right? Because then they have succeeded in Doctrine 2. If both of you succeed in Doctrine 2, then you sit there poking, whack, and punching each other, but not actually doing anything. So you need to be able to succeed at Doctrine 1, 2, and 3, and that will give you absolute success. So those are my 3 doctrines, all right? And this was a perfect example of that, of how that played out. We had Doctrine 1, we had the speed advantage, we could force the engagement to happen at point-blank range where our weapons were effective. We had Doctrine 2, where we had armor, we had components to be able to withstand damage and take the hits. Granted, the Quokka didn't have quite as much armor, but they are an older ship. But they had enough armor that those laser hits were mostly negated, right? If we go back to here, right? 5 damage absorbed by armor, 5 damage absorbed by armor, and then 2 more here. I think that one glanced a hole, right? So that's 12 damage that... fuck off. 12 damage that the Quokka didn't have to take on her components. So, second doctrine succeeded. Quokka goes back to repair. The rest of the fleet is fine. Third doctrine succeeded, and how? We had so much damage that their armor could not handle it. So, that one's fairly straightforward. All 3 doctrines succeeded. We won the engagement. So that's enough about doctrine. Let's go have a look at the Quokka before we start repairs. So we can see here, so that was the initial laser shot, okay? So that one rolled this column, 1 damage, plink. This would have been one of the other shots. We can see here that the laser actually has 1 deeper. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can see here, but it starts from but it gets allocated from the top. So it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it kind of gets grown from the top one. So the damage would have gone 1, 2, 3. I can't remember if this one is 4 or this one is 4, but it goes 1, 2, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. It might go 4, 5, 6. I forget the exact order. Hang on, I'll go pull it up. Somebody posted it on the subreddit, and I put it on the Reddit wiki. One sec. Not that one. Damage templates. Here we go. So these are the damage templates. So yeah, so it goes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we can see that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if the laser was only a 5 damage laser, it wouldn't have penetrated at all. Wait, was that right, or was it 3, 4, 5? Yeah. So it goes that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Then it goes that one, 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 that one. So yeah. But yeah, 6 damage. So 5 absorbed by armor, 1 penetrated, and then on this one, it would have gone. Actually looks like it hit the exact same spot twice. So it hit this one and went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then on the second, and then penetrated 1 damage. And then on the second hit, it landed on the same spot. Then it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that last shot would have been the one that landed here at the second time, and it would have penetrated 4 damage. So if we go back here, so we can see 2 damage absorbed by armor, railgun destroyed by 2 damage, 3 damage, 4 damage. Right, there we go. So 4 damage penetrated, 3 from the middle, from the initial middle. Hang on. Three from, if there's 2 on the side, that's 4 damage plus 1. I think it's actually missing a point. I don't know. The fourth. Shit, I think it's missing a point of damage somewhere. It's supposed to have come in and dealt 5, but it's only taken 2. Oh no, it's 4. 2 absorbed by armor, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4. No, it is 4. Okay. We're not missing damage. Yeah, so that explains why we received 4 damage. If the Quokka had been hit, say, here, then we wouldn't have lost so many components because the 5 more damage would have been absorbed by armor. So it was sheer dumb luck that third laser hit landed in the exact same spot as the first or the second one. And that's why the Quokka took so much damage. It possibly wouldn't have taken so much if it wasn't for the for landing on the second hit. But it's fine. Fuel, railgun, and the search sensor. It's gone back into overhaul and it's being repaired. That's the important thing. Well, it's not in overhaul, it's being repaired. But yeah, that concludes our damage post-mortem and my discussion on doctrines. Now, that doctrine is, in my opinion, the most effective one, but there are other doctrines, and you're more than welcome to add, remove, or modify and make your own. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, let's get back into it. Now, we know that at the moment, we can see Melbourne and basically anybody coming out of it, which is the important thing. Quokka has finished completed repairs, and 9 crew were added to the ship. We can see the grade points have actually decreased to 1908 from 2000, and that is because these 9 crew were added in at only training level 5. Which is at a 500 grade point for the ship. So that's actually reduced grade points. But those will climb back up again once we complete it. One thing to keep in mind with repairing ships, One thing to keep in mind with repairing ships is that damage control can repair everything except armor. The only place armor can be repaired is in shipyards and in hangars. So in hangars, carrier can repair shipyards, can repair armor, and shipyards conducting a repair job can repair armor. Hangars, of course, use MSP, and shipyards use, raw resources. So that is something to keep in mind. Repairs also effectively count as overhauls as well. They do rewind a significant amount of maintenance clock. They rewind it like ridiculously fast. So if you have a ship that's been damaged, you don't have to stick it into overhaul to rewind its maintenance clock. All you got to do is just do the repairs, and then maybe you can rewind it. We can actually have a look. So first battle fleet, the Quokkas are at 25 quarter month on the maintenance clock. The Quokka is 0.05. So yeah, significant saving. Are they back at Seoul? Yes, good. We're not going to put it into overhaul because I haven't been away for long enough to actually make it worth it. Alright. I definitely want our Quokkas to be reserved, so we definitely we're waiting for a couple of Potteroos. I think we're going to go for at least another 2 more Potteroo weapon platforms, because we're going to have the slipways for it. 5th August 46, May and June 45. Yeah. Hang on, how many railguns? We have like 10 Potteroos or something. Yeah, we've got 10 weapons platforms. So yeah, I'm going to build 2 more, and then we're going to go out and have a look, see what's happening in Melbourne. Quokkas we're going to keep in reserve for Seoul Defense, that's for sure. I believe I mentioned that already. Research into 20cm railgun is complete, which is very nice. And 5 times warhead is also now being underway. I think next episode we're going to consider doing some missile design. I don't want to try and squeeze it into less than half an hour because missiles are an extremely complex system. And there is so much that you can do that I definitely want to reserve a full episode for that. Because there's a lot. Missiles are easily the most complex, but also the most flexible weapon systems in the game. There is no weapon as complex as the missile. There is so much that you can do with it, it's ridiculous. We are also out of uranium on Australia. We do have pretty significant production on mercury, so we are definitely going to start working on getting those mines going. Coma Solar is also producing a good amount of uranium, which we are covering. Brisbane, we definitely want to settle for that 1 million uranium. Mercury is definitely much better though, especially once we get the colony cost down further. We're down to 11.8 at the moment. Yeah, so it is slowly going down. Would be nice if we had better... you know what? We could improve... Oh, by the way, since we have actually captured some aliens, we can actually conduct an autopsy, which will tell us their species tolerance, which won't be that different from ours, probably, to be honest. Let's take 5 away, and we're going to do the alien autopsy, and we'll do terraforming research as well. Because I want to get the terraforming rate up a little bit. We don't have a lot of terraformers, so we need to make them better than what they currently are. I mean, it's not too important that we get it done very quickly, so a year is fine. Alright, E-War is almost done. Considering that we already know that tracking speed on the enemy ships is potentially going to be lower than ours, we are definitely going to want to get E-War, because it's just going to open, it's just going to stick a giant crowbar in that gap in performance and just yank on it. It's going to be like a massive lever in that, because losing an additional 10% accuracy on top of on top of how low it is already is just a ridiculous gap. It's like it's a really huge gap. It's huge. It's just going to hurt them that much more. So getting that extra ECM is going to be extremely useful. Our automated mines are done. We have 70. How many exactly do we have? 71. Supply and demand. That will be good. I'm wondering if we should convert some regular mines into auto mines. No, we'll just build some more auto mines. Let's go for another 10. Yeah, we can afford that. Okay, we're going to get a lot of mines being shipped to Mercury. How are the civilians going nuts over it? No? Okay. I think they might still have orders. Yeah, I think they might just be loading. Yeah, look at them go. They're really going nuts over those automated mines. All good though. They've moved like 40 of them in almost instantly, which I am not unhappy about at all. Like, perfectly happy with that. you guys go nuts. You guys go nuts. It's definitely more than we could move, that's for sure. They're probably done already by now, to be honest. Well, they might take 2 trips. Nope, they're done. Okay, that's cool. We are now producing 4,600. We have sling capacity of 1,000 tons a year. We are producing 6,900, so we can get quite a few more auto mines. We're sending 63.9 a week, so 954. Yeah, we should be fine. 954, 822. It's going down, but then again, we're running 90% and we're almost done with the 10 auto mines. So we're using it fast, but we're also getting it super fast. The fact that it hasn't exhausted almost instantly is also definitely beneficial. But our weapons potteroo is done. So we're gonna stick another one in there. So that's 1. Sensor potteroo is going to be done on June. Autoroo is going to be the other one is done. Yeah, here we go. Done. Sure. Another automated mine. Yeah, let's go from the 10. We can probably go for 70%. And 10 automated mines, demand 10. There we go. So yeah, we're just going to get a lot of automated mines running over there. Ooh, shipbuilding rate 750 is done. That would explain why... Oh crap, that's Hull. Damn it! Crap. That was wasteful. Not Hull. Weapons. So that was a waste. We basically just wasted an entire batch of potteroo components. Potentially even wasted a sensor. Do we waste a sensor? I'm pretty sure we wasted a sensor. Fuck. Okay. That is the big risk with running a intermediary design for your to give you same shipyard, is that if you build one, then I suppose we could have built it then scrapped it, but that just seems wasteful. Yeah, if you build one, then it's going to take the components that you've pre-built, and it's not going to give you any resources back if you cancel it. So if you delete the task, you get nothing back. So all the minerals that you've invested in it, gone. Now, you don't invest all the minerals, they get consumed over time, but if it's anything above 0, you will be losing minerals. And yeah, you will be losing minerals, and any components taken from stockpiles will also be lost as well. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you remember to set the correct type of ship when you're building it. And we did actually build a weapons one, yes? Yes, but didn't just cock up colossally. Pottery weapons, good. Okay, that is fine. Okay. We have 87% for the sensor and 3.4% per week for the weapons platform, which is awesome. We're doing operations time cost next, and that'll be done in a year, a little bit less, which is great. Our E-War is almost done. Just a few more weeks. And being able to put ECM onto your ships is so very handy. Okay. I will be taking the quokkas with me when we do a jump into Melbourne, by the way. The reason for that, of course, is that we want maximum ships, so multiple targets for them to shoot at that are not necessarily our top of the line ships, and we want as many ships as possible to be able to be there to open fire on anything that's there. All right, our Pottery sensor platform is done, and we're going to design. We're going to build the Prince Henry, Prince Rupert. When did these guys come from? I'm going to build another weapons platform. They get built pretty fast. October, November, like a couple months tops, which is amazingly awesome. Automated mine construction is done. Good. That's another 10. Supply and demand. Good. How you doing? 204. Stockpile's low. We'll give it a bit of a break. Let it build back up. Can't wait for the suitability to drop down to something more reasonable, but though. I mean, we also have Luna and Mars to terraform as well. I mean, that is a thing that we do eventually want to do. Maybe not Luna, but Mars for sure. But I suppose it gives the civilians something to do, trading the infrastructure. So, I mean, it's not a terrible idea. And I mean, digging up all this shit for Mars is nice. Like, apart from the Duranium, like, we have a lot of stuff for mines. The Corundium here is amazing. Accessibility is not that crash hot, but everything else is amazing. We're almost out of Neutronium and Corundium on Australia. So, I'm thinking we might move all the mines to Luna and Mars. Or Sydney? Sydney A2? Because Sydney A2 is directly through our jump point, so we don't have to go through Melbourne. Like, I would love to move them on... No, wait. Sydney needs... Sydney can't run mines. That's an auto mines thing. Damn. Okay. So, I guess Luna and Mars will have to do. Yep. There goes the Neutronium. And Corundium isn't too far off. A production of 26,000 from all these mines. That's going to be amazing for Mars, that's for sure. How are they doing? 40% and 20%. We also need that camel as well. Actually, shit. What's the capacity on the camel? 14,000. Waller 16. Ah, crap. Okay. And we're going to need a better jump engine. Ah, fuck. Okay. Let's go for a 20,000 ton camel. Okay. Speed is 2,000 at least. Range we want. Range isn't going to matter. But let's go for 20 billion. Deployment time's not going to be relevant and doesn't do anything anyway. We are running ion engines. Power mod's going to be 0.5. 0.5, yep. Actually, a more important factor is we need a jump drive. Needs to be military so it can jump the military ships. Is that our technologies for the jump drive? Crap, no, not you. Okay. 535, yep, okay. We need an 80. We need a size 80 to jump a 20,000 ton ship. That's not bad. We can work with that. Okay. So size 80. What's that going to take? Ew. Expensive. Okay. It's fine. We're still going to run. We're still going to run the camel, but we're going to need to get everything else. We're going to have to get the other one. We got a power going. Yes, Ellis. Let's drop another 5 out of that. 3 out of that. 3 out of that. And we're going to run our jump drive, and that's going to take for January 46. How long the camel? October 46. Shit, I think we might even get this done first. We need a shipyard. Yep, we have one. That's fine. Okay, so that's easy enough. We're going to be able to get an enhanced camel. As soon as we get the military jump drive for 20,000 ton, we are going to get our... Really? Good thing we have a replacement. Okay. Nowhere near as good, but... Oh! We have a Gunganeer. Oh, he's stuck in close. It'll be the thermals that did it, because he wouldn't have had his actives on. All right, what do we know about the Gunganeer? Fuck all. Okay, he has a thermal signature of 252. Let's watch him travel. 3,000 kilometers. Okay, we can work with that. First battle fleet, bring the Quokka in. I'm gonna join. Okay. And contacts, Gunganeer. We're gonna follow. Got the initiative set to maximum, good. Now, we don't know. Oh, we'll have to refill the Quokka first, actually. And actives on. Well, good. Now, we don't know if this guy's a gunship or a missile ship. We cannot take the chance that it's a missile ship and has really fast missiles. So, what we are going to do is we're going to activate our point defense. So, set mode, final fire, and copy assignment. There we go. Now, we're going to clear target on the fleet. Good. Now, point defense, final fire has a couple of quirks. I'm still not 100% sure on exactly how those quirks function. But here is what I suspect. What I suspect is that while there is no target assigned, point blank mode will always work. So you don't have to open fire, you don't have to cease fire, it'll always work. However, if you do have a target assigned, then it'll still do point blank fire, but only if the fire control is set to open fire. Either that or you just have to open fire anyway. I don't know for sure. But best thing to do when you're switching to point defense mode, set it to final fire, clear the targeting, and then open fire on those fire controls. That is the best practice, and that will guarantee that you do actually have your fire controls on point defense fire when the missiles start flying. And we're just going to get some additional point defensive cover just on the off chance that I don't even know. Because we don't, like the thermal signature is low. This thing's probably like 5,000 tons, right? This thing has a third of the thermal signature of the Troll, and it has about the same speed. So yeah, this thing is going to be tiny. I don't expect this thing to be a massive threat, but you know, it could have some pretty chunky missile launchers for all we know, because I don't know. But it's always good to be careful. Okay. Hours closing. We've got our active sensors to make sure that we don't have no missiles fly into our face. Is it stationary? It's stationary. I don't think it's firing missiles. I think it's an observation ship. I think it's waiting. Yeah, I think it's just waiting for us. Okay, he's seems to be kicking up again. Yeah, he's running. Yeah, he's running. He's definitely running. He's definitely an observation ship. It doesn't look like he's firing any missiles because we're getting the full 1 hour ticks. Because the game will auto pause when they are firing missiles. So each tick that they fire a missile, the game will auto pause. And so you'll be able to see that in here. It'll drop to like 45 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever. So it'll force shorter ticks. Thermal contact lost. Shit, where'd he go? I think it might be heading... Okay, let's head for the jump point. Not transit. Just move to. Let's head to the jump point. And we'll see if we run into him. I'm going to run 20-minute ticks. Just so we don't skip over him. We didn't detect any active sensor out of him though, because that would have given him away way, like as soon as he came through. So it might just be a passive observation craft or possibly even a surveyor. I don't think he might have been a surveyor because he was moving straight in, then he stopped completely, and then he started moving straight out. That's not really the behavior of a survey ship, which would be bouncing around all over the place. So I'm really not sure exactly what that ship was doing. He definitely had passive sensors though. He must have been observing us with passive sensors because he saw us coming and then he piss bolted. So okay, let's run hourlies. We should have caught up with him by now, I think. Unless he went sideways. If he went sideways, he wouldn't be, He definitely can't get too close, otherwise he's going to get spotted. But we're fast enough that we should have overtaken him by now. We might have actually literally overtaken him, actually. But it looks like we see him before he sees us, so I got no idea what he's doing. Just being a knob, probably. Okay. Just do a day. We'll go visit the jump point. See what's over there. If we run into him, we run into him. If we don't, then we don't. We're not that far from Earth. We still have Potteroo activate sensors. We still have a Potteroo and the sensor Potteroo available for homeworld defense. And we have Another 2 weapons potteroos coming out soon. He didn't seem like he had weapons. So, 56 million. Let's stop that for now. Yeah, he didn't seem like he had weapons. So, I don't think he's a major threat. I think he's just there to observe. Oh, Gotterdammenrung. 30,000 tonners. Fuck. Okay. This could be a problem. Do we know what these guys are? They have actives. They're going to be warships. They might be missile boats. Alright, first battle fleet, you are on the spot. Gun it. Run to point blank range. Shit on a stick. Point blank range or max range? Because they are very, very close. I don't want to be that close if they're firing missiles, because they're just going to punch right through our point defense. Just because of the way point defense works. No. I am going to run home immediately, try and open up some distance on them, and keep our point defenses live. We'll be able to see them just fine. They have 2,000 thermal. We're going to be able to see them okay. They're not going to be able to hide too well. Okay, what's our range on active sensor? 4.5 million? Better idea. Follow, but at 110, 100, follow them at 1,000,000 kilometers. Yeah, follow them at 1,000,000 kilometers. I don't know if they have jump shock. Hopefully they do. So that hopefully we won't see weapons fire immediately. So, but let's see what happens. Oh, they're running. Okay, they're opening distance as well. I am happy with that. I am perfectly okay with them opening distance. But we are over time. So, once again, I'm going to have to leave you on a cliffhanger. So, next episode, we are going to potentially take on our biggest threat yet. Last time, it was a 10,000 ton little gunship. Now we are up against 2 30,000 ton, potentially warships, in our solar system. And the only defense we have are basically tiny little point defense ships. That we basically have point defense. Now, we can do a lot of damage with sandblasting, but there's only 30,000 tons at 30,000 tons. So, I guess I'll see you in the next episode where we see how we do. Thank you for watching. Tune in then.